So, Ingrid, at some point we're talking about compliance, and so at what point does compliance start feeling like theatre?
I think Wihan, you just set me up so nicely there. It's very interesting when I'm sitting here. We've got a mine, and we've got a mine operator, and we've got a contractor or systems or solutions provider, and we're kind of singing from the same hymn sheet, which is encouraging. So where does compliance start to feel like theatre? Well, I think for us, for me, it's where people, equipment, and documentation sort of drift out of sync. I think when your confidence, your compliance data starts to drop, I think that's when compliance becomes theatre. The dividing line between compliance theatre and authentic compliance is when you can ask yourself a simple question about the compliance systems that you have on site. Is this valid right now under these conditions in order for me to proceed? And I think if your systems cannot answer that question honestly, it doesn't matter how many audits you're passing. Eventually theatre compliance will eventually hurt you.
So, just to round out this conversation, I think we need to look forward. What does good look like going forward from here? And so, Ingrid, maybe I'll just start with you again. If you could have a look, talk to us a little bit about what changes when safety becomes part of operation and not an administrative function.
Yeah, I think when safety becomes part of operations rather than an administrative task, I think the fundamental difference is where the decisions are made. If you can get safety to stop living in documents, stop living in screens and, post-event, audit event reports, and get it to start living in the workflows of work itself, I think that is where it becomes really useful.
And Louise, I feel like I'm kind of hopping a little bit around this audit subject here, but I think it's very important that we understand that solutions should be built not towards an audit, but to maintain that whole environment. So just, from a leadership perspective, what gives you the confidence between the audits, between the happenings that carry on there?
Well, thank you, Steven. I think Ingrid already gave me a base to work from. So I think leadership confidence doesn't just come from knowing the audit is coming. It comes from knowing what's happening today. It's having the confidence that what you see on the system is actually live, it's real. It's real-time assurance that you get from the data that you see. So it's not a question of I train our people, but maybe you've trained those people last month. So it is not retrospective reports. It's the day-to-day activities that we have over a glance. It's also the early warning indicators that's not lagging up plans. So you can't wait a month, a week to actually get a report. You need to act now. You want to see the system shows you that you've got those repeat violators. If you have any overrides on the systems, the competency gaps that might be emerging. So those are things that you want to have a handle over everything on a day-to-day basis. Then the operational ownership of safety, I think Ingrid talked about operational. So it's when the line management speaks about risk with the same fluency as production. And not because the SHEC department told them so, because usually the systems belongs to SHEC, or the safety belongs to SHEC, but it's because the system supports that data. So
I think when we look at more intelligence solutions, we talk about systems, and what do you feel should they be able to adapt to automatically?
Yeah, to your point that you said, the real-time visibility, I think the system should be able to actually adapt the real-time change. I always say in the mining environment, the only constant is the fact that it's going to change. That is the only constant. So that is the most important part. I think when I'm thinking back on my past experience, and when I see how creative people can actually get, I see us moving into a world where we can potentially utilize the system to identify people getting clever with the system. To Ingrid's point that people will not necessarily learn about things. And we've experienced that, and you're always going to experience that. As an example, you've got a 3-monthly break test that you need to do. A person will simply change the date, the big set, change it, scan it, and I'm sure that the system in the future can identify those things. And I think that is where I see us changing the system to actually work for us. And again, for me, it's almost like if it's compulsory to have this system that's giving you the compliance and the assurance of the integrity of the data, to have it integrated with the other systems I've mentioned in a couple of times. If you're going to have these different risk silos that you need to manage, you're not going to be successful. You need to have that outsourced. Personally, for me, I think the way that the HSEC Online system is configurable. It's not an off-the-shelf tool that you buy and you need to work with that tool. That really makes your company successful, making sure you've got compliance and with the right paperwork.
Yeah, thank you. Ingrid, you wanted to add to that?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that HSEC Online as a fundamental building block again is safety is not a one-size-fits-all kind of solution. I think it needs to be configured, I think it needs to be discussed, and I think that we need to shut down those gaps.
From a mind on the face perspective, Louise, you have got obviously you're reporting to multiple different owners of mines. What are your closing thoughts for us here?
Well, I think an effective safety management isn't just more paperwork. I think you have to have a better connection between safety and operations, and I think you have to have better connection between your data and your decision making, and also a better connection between changing risk and real-time control. So when I think safety systems help people to do the job safely as the condition changes, and that compliance stops them being a burden.
Ingrid, the floor is yours.
No, we're far from done. I think like mining operations, nothing stays static. There's constant movement and change, and I think systems have a responsibility to keep up. And we need to have these constant engagements between the mine operators, contractors, all the stakeholders involved, in trying to achieve this elusive zero harm. I think it can be done. And when you've got solution providers like ourselves willing to engage, with clients to discuss what works and what doesn't, I think you've got to be as flexible as that. Checks. So we spoke about earlier about allowing everyone to participate and everyone going home at the end of the day. We are all responsible for each other while working on site. Okay, well then engage me. Let me have visibility, let me have line of sight, for what I'm doing. That means that as an engineer, you talk about the break certificate. When that person uploaded a break certificate, where did he get the break certificate from? And it may be that from an engineering point of view, the engineer is responsible. We built and laid checks to say, right, I'm the health and safety officer, I collected documentation, uploaded it, I the system, I've now shared it externally for approvals, but now I have an internal check because I have the medical surveillance team approving the medicals that they have actually submitted, or the person itself. I have the engineering team who are doing the appropriate tests to do internal checks before that document proceeds externally. And so we can start, it doesn't work in every configuration, but we can start to build in these layer checks to say that, we're all aiming for the same goal. I don't believe that everyone is fraudulent, dishonest, or careless. I believe that most of us are trying very hard to get things right. And I think that systems can be smart enough to engage with these people and put in not choke points. We want people to engage with the system, and I think we can do this really successfully. But I think we need to continually have these conversations. I think we need to identify the gaps. And we need to close them down, and not just once. We need to do this every single day. It's not going to stop. I don't think the development from our side is going to stop. So I'm very encouraged by the frank discussions that we need to have here on stage. One more thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we are so confident, and I think the other and Louise can agree. We are so confident that if you for one moment think that you can actually better the environment that you're working in, we will give you a free pilot that we implement on your site in order to demonstrate how successful the solution can be. We're at stand 2D30.
Yeah.
Come around and have a chat to us. We'd love to engage with you.